bit about watches. Watches helping you kind of connect, reach out to people, not necessarily just random people, although you will meet lots of different people, you know, in forums when you're looking for new watches and stuff, but helping you kind of connect even with maybe old friends or family. And I was kind of thinking about it on my drive. I mean, I've got a long drive into work, and on my way home it's about an hour and 15-minute commute, which isn't terribly long for some really serious commuters, but long enough for me to just think about things sometimes. And you know, I got to thinking about 3 examples that I can really think of that watches have kind of helped me either stay connected to people that are important to me, or reconnect in a way to familial relationship that, you know, was kind of strained. So the first one is my oldest son. I've got 3 boys, and I remember growing up when I was, you know, maybe 19, 20, kind of thought about what my life would be like when I got older, thinking about having kids. As a pretty tomboyish gay woman, I was always kind of really worried about if I have kids and, you know, I've got a bunch of girls, you know, I'll probably end up having really feminine girls, thinking, what in the world am I going to have in common with them? You know, how am I going to connect to somebody who might be incredibly different than I am? And now I've got 3 kids, and I thought, oh, well, this is great. I've got 3 boys, so this should be easy, right? I mean, sports, wrestling, anything, you know, I'm all over it. So it should be pretty simple to kind of keep that connection to them as they grow up. And you know, my oldest son, he's not really into a lot of the same things that I'm into. You know, sports teams, I'm a huge basketball fan. So, I mean, he'll sit down and watch it with me, but, I mean, he's not really a huge sports fan. He's getting a little bit older, you know, he's 11 years old, and, you know, it's really important to me to have some common ground with him that we can bond through. You know, and things that he's really into right now are Minecraft, right? Video games. I'm not a huge video game person, so although I might sit there and kind of watch him from time to time, I don't necessarily know what he's doing or what his objective is in the game. So there's nothing more humbling than watching an 11-year-old play a video game that you can't figure out. So if you haven't done that, try it. But you know, I love watches, and I got him his first watch on vacation, which he recently did a video review of. Not to plug a video, but he did do his first review. And he's kind of like, he's really enjoying having the watch, and I recently bought him his first mechanical watch, you know, Seiko 5, nothing fantastic, he's only 11. And he, you know, he really likes it, and I'll take his mechanical watch and I'll put it in my watch box in one of my winder slots, and you know, I'll leave one open for him, and I'll kind of put it in there to keep it wound, and he comes out there and he gets it. And you know, I've got kind of like a little eBay store where I sell some watches, and they'll ask me, hey, how's it doing, did you sell one? And he knows that I'm kind of working towards saving up for my next big watch. And it's kind of become this thing where we're bonding over it. It's like, it's something real that we have in common, not something that I pretend to be interested in for him or that he pretends to be interested in for me, but something that we're sharing a genuine interest in together. So in a lot of ways, that's kind of helping me reconnect with my oldest son, which, not that we were ever disconnected, but you know, we didn't have any real interests that were the same, and now we kind of do, and it's really nice to kind of talk to him about it, because anytime I mention anything about watches to my wife, it seems to really just kind of raise her anxiety level, you know, like we're ominously heading towards a new purchase, which I understand. And in a terrible way, she says, oh, well, they kind of all look the same, which is absurd, first of all, but there you go. She doesn't really care about watches. So to have that with my son is, you know, it's kind of nice. So that's one way that it's really been helping. The other way that it's kind of helped me reconnect is that recently my dad came to visit us, and you know, I'm not going to get into anything really deep because that's for another channel, another video. But you know, we've had kind of a strained relationship throughout my childhood and into my adult life. So anytime we've talked to each other, it's been very forced. It's not, you know, easy flow conversation like it is with my mom. He did come up recently, and what kind of got us started talking again is I randomly texted him asking him if he liked watches, and he, you know, sent me a message back saying, yeah, he loved watches. He collects them. And we all of a sudden found this, you know, I found this one medium that made it really easy to, in a lot of ways, reconnect with my dad, and maybe let go of a lot of the things that I've been hanging on to that has kind of kept our relationship from getting stronger. You know, our shared interest in watches, although, you know, a lot of watches that we like are very different. We've, you know, that kind of gave an easy flow of conversation to kind of start to get into a very normal feeling conversation and relationship again. So it's not to give watches more credit than they're due, but it's kind of helping me rejuvenate, I guess, my relationship with my dad, which, you know, it's kind of been nice. You know, I'm enjoying it. The third thing is my brother, one of my brothers, I've got 3 brothers, he kind of, you know, he's moved away, lives out of state, and, you know, he's a young buck. I mean, he's probably about 20, I want to say maybe 26 years old. If I get that wrong and you end up watching this, I'm sorry. But he, you know, he's got his own family, he's got his wife, and he's got a young daughter who's not far apart from age, and then my 2 younger sons. And, you know, he's busy. He's doing what he needs to do to support them. But it's kind of disconnected him from the family, and as a Hispanic family, where you're typically very close-knit to each other, almost annoyingly so, but that's one of the things you learn to love and hate about it. And, you know, sometimes when I text him or call him just to kind of see how he's doing, I don't always get a response back. I know he's busy, or, you know, he'll have broken his phone or whatever the case may be, but so I found that one of the ways that I can almost always get him to respond or to kind of engage in a conversation is to either send him a picture of a new watch that I've gotten, or kind of ask him if there's any new watches that he's gotten, because he's also you know, kind of a watch lover, you know. One of the things that I love about it is that you can reach out to other people that might enjoy something similar to yourself in a relationship that might not be as close as you'd like at the time, or, you know, maybe under a little bit of awkwardness, kind of like my dad and I, and find that one thing that you have in common that maybe you didn't know you had in common, and bond through that. I know there's lots of other ways you can do that, sports, but sports aren't year-round, right? There's going to be an off-season. Drafts only happen once a year. But watches are there all the time, so there's never really a shortage of things to talk about, and there's so many. Just kind of something I was thinking about on my drive. I'm not even sure I'm going to post this video, but part of what I'm really starting to love about watches now, when I think about it, when I'm thinking about it on my drive, like, you know, the amount of money sometimes that you kind of spend and time looking into something before you get it, and seeing if you can trade or buy used, you know, I mean, that's very time consuming, and when you have a spouse that isn't interested in the same, you're often reminded of how time consuming it is. But you know, it's also kind of helped me just outside just the superficial or the materialistic aspect of having a nice watch. It's, you know, it's giving me now a new platform to bond with my older son, and it's something that I can kind of hope to maybe pass some of these on to him. He's even asked me, you know, if he can maybe, there's a watch of mine that he really likes, the Bradley, where he's like, oh, you know, will I be able to borrow that sometimes? And I'm like, oh, well, let's slow it down. We're moving too fast. But, you know, maybe when he gets older, he can borrow it. But the prospect of having somebody to pass that on to that shares the same passion, where, you know, you're not going to pass it on to them, and then when you die, they're going to end up on an episode of Pawn Stars trying to see how much money they can get for it. Every time I see that, I'm like, oh, you insensitive bastard. But, you know, if it's something that they're really going to appreciate, there's something really nice and bonding about that always gives you some common ground to fall back on. So, you know, that's just one of the ways that outside just the pleasure of enjoying the horological aspect of watches, or the aesthetics of them, the visual appeal of them, you know, it's actually kind of helped me just outside that in some, you know, relationships with family members particularly. I wonder if any of you guys that have watches have found that, hey, you know, maybe I'm kind of reaching out or building a closer relationship with some other people that I wouldn't have otherwise, and this is one of the things that we're finding common ground on. And it's kind of nice. So I think that's about it for my Thursday afternoon ramble, because this was just the day that would not end. It was brutal. All right, bye guys.